Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to another chilly Wednesday. But welcome back to our show of Mind Trip, where we explore the connections between mindsets and mental health.
As always, guys, we love to see you joining our shows. And yes, Nikki, it is very chilly outside. I think I saw 27 degrees on my phone, but there's a huge snowstorm and cold front moving through, I think all 50 states or all of the contiguous states, the 48 states. Texas is getting snow. It's crazy. Missouri is like negative, what did I see? Negative 17. Did you see that?
I did not, but I know I took our dog out for a walk at 8 o'clock this morning, and my cheeks were chapped by the time I came back. So
Yes, but guys, don't let that cold outside make your heart cold, which kind of leads into our topic for this month. We are focusing on love and what love looks like in relationships. We've explored what love looks like in yourself, but today we are bringing you what love looks like within your purpose in life. So let me go ahead and open up with our Bible verse for this show. And this week, we are bringing you Proverbs 15, verse 22. Without counsel, plans fail, but with many advisors, they succeed. So one more time, without counsel, plans fail, but with advisors, they succeed. So I know I normally like to jump in and explain what the Bible verse means to me, but Nikki, I'm going to put the spotlight on you and ask you, what do you think that means when you hear that?
absolutely. So when Taylor and I were looking for verses that really fit in with what we wanted to do this month, because again, like she said, the theme is love, how we love ourselves, how we love romantic partners, and then how we love our work and our community finally next week. So this verse stuck out to us because, so many times we feel left alone on this island to have to decide our future and our fate, and to really understand what God has put in front of us as our path. Because although he designs our path, it's up to us to figure out, how to walk it and what to do with it. And I feel like so often we're kind of stuck alone. And I know that purpose is something that is often confused, and a lot of people don't actually know the meaning of purpose. So we're going to dig deep into that today. But when I think about the counsel and the plans and advisors needing, to me, that really shows that when we are truly needing to live our purpose, we need to look to others to help guide us, professional others, not just people who want to give their opinions, right? Mm-hmm. But the people who can guide us in that path to really help us explore our purpose.
It kind of reminds me of that quote that it takes a neighborhood to raise a child. Makes me want to put that onto what we're talking about today. It takes a neighborhood and a community to, bring out the real you. Of course, you have to do the work. You have to learn how to love yourself. You have to learn what lights you up and all the, pre-work. But when you surround yourself with many different types of mentors, people who care for you, other people that are maybe in a place where you want to be, then your plans start to succeed. And of course, when you put God in that equation as well, God blesses our plans as long as we bring it to him first and ask him for that guidance and that counsel. We know that he works together for our good as well. So that's why we selected that Bible verse this week.
Absolutely. And so we wanted to kind of start out the show as well with a quote, and just kind of talk about what it means so that we can lead into the rest of our show. But it is, what you are looking for is not out there. It is within you. So Taylor, what does that mean for you?
I thought you'd never ask. So when I hear you read that quote, what you're looking for is not out there, it's in you. It makes me think that, so often society is trying to tell us who we should be, who we are. We've got those outside influences saying, oh, well, you're really good at baking cakes, you should do that. Or, oh, you're really good at giving guidance, you should be a therapist or something. But a lot of times what we truly like, we haven't explored, and it's inside of us. So when I hear that quote, it really makes me think that I need to sit back and reflect and kind of explore those things.
Absolutely. I mean, when it comes to happiness or anything else in life, we know we don't find it externally. It really does come within our work, with the work we do with our brains and our mindset and things of that nature. And Taylor, you brought up a great point that so often people find meaning in life, but very few of us find purpose. And that we look to others, like you had said, Taylor, to tell us what to do. Wow, you're really good at giving advice, so you should do this with your life. And this is a lucrative career. And we have so many people advising us that don't necessarily have our purpose in mind, or we don't even have our own purpose in mind. So with that being said, in this week on love and talking about how we find love in our work, we find love in our work by working in our purpose. And I had said that so many people confuse meaning and purpose. So what does that mean to you, Taylor? Like when you think of purpose in life, if you were not in this field, or like what's the most common way you hear people use the word purpose?
When I hear people use the word purpose, what I think of, well, of course we know what purpose means, but I think of meaning. And like you just shared, there is a distinct difference between purpose and meaning, which we are going to get into. But when I hear people ask that question, or they ask me, it's kind of, I go towards family. Like family is my purpose in life. Family is what lights me up. Family is what the real meaning of life is. But Nikki, I know that you have about 100-ish pages written on the purpose in life and the differences between those two. So I want to highlight your expertise and have you share this with everybody watching today.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Taylor. So most people, when we say what's your purpose in life, the majority of Americans, I believe around 60% of Americans will say their family. And then the statistics fade, but they'll say, family, career, money, faith, friends, things of that nature. But finding meaning is very different than finding purpose. Finding meaning is finding the positive and negative situations. Meaning are the things that are meaningful or important to you. Of course, our family and our friends and our financial stability is important to us, right? But purpose has a very specific definition throughout the literature, but it has like very certain elements. So purpose is working towards having behaviors that work towards meaningful activity, not only within yourself, but to others in the community. So basically that you're working towards something meaningful about others, not within your family structure. Giving back, essentially. That is what purpose in life is.
So when you ask me, what do I think my purpose in life is? I really think it goes hand in hand with what outsiders have told me. Unfortunately, I don't know how we want to take that. But my purpose in life in terms of giving back is to help people, walk through those difficult life experiences that they've had. So trauma, if you will, just helping them make meaning of it, helping them heal from it. Instead of why did this happen to me? Why not me? How can I use this as a way to move forward in life?
Yeah. And, I'd have to say the same. My purpose is to help people feel better, right? Whether that's in the leadership, whether that's through trauma work, but it's utilizing the mind to change. And that is completely towards me giving back to others, right? It has nothing to do with the things that are it's not necessarily aligned with things that are meaningful to me, right? What's meaningful to me are my relationships and my dog and my family. Those things are meaningful, but my purpose is absolutely driven towards helping others in the capacity of doing mindset work, right? Which is why we have Bryant Katsaounis, right? It's what we've dedicated our whole lives and our careers to. And so purpose is really the driving force behind our actions. And we know, like you had mentioned earlier, Taylor, there's so many reasons why we don't have purpose. In fact, only about 20% of Americans can clearly define their purpose and then say they're working toward their purpose, like where they're making actionable, measurable steps to work toward their purpose on a somewhat even daily basis. Less, like a quarter of us are working towards a purpose. That's crazy.
So then that means, I'm no statistical analysis. I can't talk statistical analytical person, Nikki, but that sounds like 80% of everybody else out there in the world is just working just because it suits them. It's bringing in the money to pay the bills. It's safe.
Absolutely, of Americans. So what's interesting is that we know certain cultures where the purpose in life and measurable goals towards that is a lot higher. For example, certain Eastern cultures. But if you think about Eastern communities, a lot of times you grow up, it's not individualistic community, right? It's very much towards the community. So people always are thinking about others and how to serve. And it's kind of like part of the culture. Whereas in Western society, we don't have that. It's very much about me and my family and what can I do to get ahead. And so depending on where you grow up, it's very indicative of if you have a purpose in life or not at a younger age.
I saw another statistic out there. I think I'm trying to pull it from the crevices of my mind, stealing your phrase there. I think 70% of people out there in the workforce are just working just to work, but they're not truly happy. They're actively looking for other jobs. They're on mental health medications, things like that. All those things are indicative of just not being happy, just not living in your purpose, not doing what lights you up on a daily basis.
Yeah. And I mean, if you think even back to our show last week, where we know that from self-reported studies, 60% of people in relationships are not in healthy or happy relationships, right? And I know if you ask all of your couple friends, everyone will deny that. Oh no, not me, that's not me. But we know it's just simply not the case. And like you said, Taylor, it's the same thing with the workforce. So, we're kind of presenting, I know it's kind of depressing, but we're presenting this theme of, in Western society, we really don't know what it takes to be happy, or rather we choose to ignore what it takes to be happy, right? The literature's out there, the research is out there, we know what to do, but we don't do it. And our society doesn't embody the skill sets that it takes to be happy and healthy and live in that purpose.
You know what I think, Nikki? Fear. Like when we're thinking about mindsets, fear really plays a role in this. I think almost from the time that we're born, we kind of learn to fear things.
Mm-hmm.
And fear is an appropriate emotion. It stops us from getting caught up in harm. It helps us to run away from things that aren't good for us. But a lot of times fear will flow over into other areas of our life. And we do see that flowing into people's decisions for their majors in school. We see it flowing into their careers. Just fear and unhappiness, just not being able to get out of that.
Absolutely. And Taylor, tell me your life experience. So I know you wanted to be a marine biologist, and I know that I wanted to be an archaeologist, right? And so that's funny that we both started out with similar patterns, just different.
I was just about to say that.
But so I know I'm living in my purpose, and I by no means regret the career choice I did. Obviously, I'm good at this. I'm happy. I found my purpose. But when I wanted to be an archaeologist, I remember going to my high school guidance counselor and then them telling me, well, it's really hard to get into that. You're going to be in school for 12 years. Your student loan debt's going to be high. And it's a really competitive field. It's just not a good idea.
You know what you were going to do anyway.
Fast forward to age 32 years. I've been in school for 12 years. I have a ton of student loan debt, and I'm in a very competitive field, especially when you have your own business, right? We are trying to pave the way. And especially when we use so much therapy within our coaching model, we're really paving the way for coaching. So it's very difficult to do. So yeah, all of those things she told me, I was, it really made me question. So I remember I started out my major in criminal justice, and I did this and did that. And finally I got on a path. But it was really confusing. So Taylor, what made you decide not to be a marine biologist?
When you think back to what you wanted to be as a child, typically you didn't have any cap on anything. Your imagination was allowed to run wild. My mom was always putting on the Discovery Channel. And I was watching all about the sea animals and I think it was the Mariana Trench, which is the deepest point in the ocean. And I was just so interested by sea life. And that's what I really wanted to do. And I want to say I was in 5th grade. It was really at a weird point. I was in 5th grade when my teacher was like, a marine biologist, don't you know that you're going to be underwater? There's so much pressure, the submarine might explode and you might never see your family again. I'm they really crushed and destroyed my dreams. And I think that was a turning point for me when I started getting interested in other things. Now I still have a slight interest in sea life. I like going on cruises all the time and those excursions with animals and snorkeling, but that really ruined it for me. That instilled that fear. If you go out there, you might never see your family again. How scary is that?
Yeah. And so we have societal pressures all the time and people telling us what we should do. And I want to take a quick time out. Sorry, we had 2 ladies say hi. Mildred, hi. Thank you for tuning in again this week. And Miss Tiffany, Thank you. Miss Tiffany did my hair, so I appreciate the shout out there. She's fabulous.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, so we seek guidance again, but so many times not from people who are necessarily experts in the field of finding purpose. For example, like if you think of our counselors and our mentors who told us that, I don't remember them ever asking me what my interest was or what I was good at. I would just give ideas and they'd be like, statistically, this should be what makes you money, or this is a bad idea. Like
Right.
not even knowing anything about me. I think that was the only time I ever talked to my guidance counselor in high school. So not to put that person down, because that was just the culture. That was the culture of the school. That's what you did. She gave advice based on statistics and nothing else. And then I think, we are so bad at knowing what we like. We were very good at knowing what we don't like as people, but it's hard to say what we like. And so I think, if we're going to have these counsels and these advisors helping us, it really needs to be someone who has this holistic approach on understanding who you are and how your mind works and things like that. So that's a huge reason why people end up not living in their purpose, because they just don't know the opportunities out there, or people are telling them that they shouldn't do it.
Nikki, I'm glad you pointed that out. You have to surround yourself with people who care about you genuinely. Mm-hmm. And I hate saying this because I feel like everybody says it, but you got to stay away from the haters, right? And sometimes you have to hold that good news or what you're trying to do, because people will try their darndest to tear you down. A lot of times it does come from insecurities, as we talked about last week. They don't love themselves. Maybe they're not happy and they don't know what they want to do, so they'll project that onto you. Mm-hmm. You got to surround yourself with people who really support you and will bring out that fire and that passion in you.
Absolutely. And Taylor, you had mentioned like trauma earlier. And so like digging a little bit deeper. So why else are we so good at knowing what we don't like and so bad at knowing what we like as people? And, trauma can play a big effect in that. So so I think in our advice, or whatever you want to call it, if you're trying to find your purpose, one, make sure that you are seeking advice and counsel from mentors that can understand how to do that properly, right? And not just listen to the societal expectations. And then two, if you have gone through any kind of trauma in your life or addiction or anything like that, to make sure you're in trauma recovery or addiction recovery and getting help for your mental health, because so many times, especially if you've been through adverse life events, you become a people pleaser, or you are so used to trying to avoid conflict and adjusting to the others around you that you're not even sure how to find what you like anymore.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Guys, I have to step off camera really quick. Speaking of, I saw Trinette said dream killers. I need to go kill my dog's dream. He is standing up on the couch, which he should have been for one. His hackles are up, which means he's going to start barking at neighbors walking by. And I don't want him to interrupt the show anymore. So I'm sorry, Nikki. Can you keep going? And I'll be back. Okay. Real life, guys.
Isn't that the truth? The joys of working from home now during COVID. Yeah, so to dig in a little bit deeper to the way trauma affects us, again, when we grow up in situations where we have been abused, or we've had people physically hurt us, sexually hurt us, things like that, we become very attuned to adjusting our behavior to make sure everyone else acts appropriately, right? We sense the slightest change in someone's behavior and we're adjusting what we do because we get scared and we want to avoid that. And so oftentimes we'll find adults who have had a successful career, who have a family, and then still when we ask them, what do you like? They will automatically go to, well, I don't like this.
Right.
When it's coming to what they truly like, what lights them up, what sets that spark and fire within them, people don't know.
Yeah, it's hard. Sometimes it's hard to tell. That's a huge obstacle. I'm not sure if you said this when I stepped away, Nikki, but I just want to bring back up that point where a lot of times it'll be ingrained in us to go to school for something specific because it's going to make all that money for you, or it's what your parents want you to do. That's definitely an obstacle because you're doing something based on what other people are projecting onto your life. You might have this idea in your head, like, okay, people continuously tell me that I'm good at this. I don't really think I like that, but everybody's saying that's what I need to do, so I'm going to go for that. I like to call that, not to continuously steal Miss Trinette's words there, but a dream killer. You're not allowing yourself to really fully invest in you, which is very important. And explore what lights you up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if you add that in with like what we were just saying, like with if you've had trauma or adverse life events, so you have that mindset of dealing with this adversity and all of the fear and the anxieties and the depression that comes with that. And then like what Taylor said, you have people in school or councils advising you. Of course, we just shut down so immediately, and then we forget that we even had these dreams, or we forget what it really feels like to know what we like.
That's a scary thing, Nikki.
Yeah,
scary thing.
It is. Like, we're bringing so much. I know. I feel like our past couple of weeks, our statistics have been really depressing, but it's true. So then why then? Why do we? So many of us have been through adverse events. So many of us have people telling us things that we should or shouldn't be doing. And these are obstacles to finding our purpose, to finding what we like to really do in life. So I guess my question always is like to pose to people, why do we allow this? Why do we allow these obstacles to get in our way? Because as people, like, I know we love a good overcoming story. Like if there's something on the news, this person was in a shark attack and lost both legs and they overcame to like run a marathon. And like, we love a good overcoming story. How come so many of us have the slightest obstacle that gets in our way, and instead of overcoming, we just move past?
Wow. I'm so glad that you brought that up too. I think when I think of the defense mechanisms, I want to say projection, maybe a little bit in a way here is taking place. We see people on TV that are overcoming. They were able to do it. They were able to make it to that finish line. And I think that's what each and every one of us want to do. We want to overcome whatever we've been through. We want to make it to that finish line. But fear. Mm-hmm. Insert that, but fear. Well, what if people judge me, or I'm not smart enough, or nobody's ever going to think that I can do something like that. So I'm just going to, continue doing this because it's what pays the bills. It's what keeps me safe. Fear.
Absolutely. Fear of failure. Like, oh my gosh, that's
huge.
Of course. Yeah. And I think too of like the second reason we are so bad at overcoming obstacles is like no one likes stepping out of their comfort zones. Everyone says like growth doesn't come from comfort zones, and no one actually does it hardly. I mean, stepping out of your comfort zone means going against sometimes the things that you always believe to be true. It means putting in work and changing the way and the paths that your brain takes and your automatic reactions. It means looking at life from a different perspective. How hard is that when that's all you know? That's part of who you've been your entire life.
Yeah, I think that's difficult there. I wanted to stop and do some shout outs too. I see Lisa Green and Trinette Green. They are my family. Trinette is my stepmom and Lisa is my aunt. I'm so happy that you ladies can catch this show today. This is my lovely business partner that I always talk highly about. So thank you for joining on today. But taking it back to finding your purpose, you gotta take time, and I don't know how many times I'm gonna say this today, to explore things that make you happy. I always reference getting a journal and writing things down, taking note of themes in your life, themes of when you're the happiest, themes of when you're smiling the most, themes of when you feel like you are where you need to be, versus, wow, maybe I'm at this job, and like writing down things that you hate. I wake up, I'm just going just to go because I need to, but you're not really happy with what you're doing. You got to pay attention to those key themes because your body often tells you when something is off before your mind is kind of like, oh yeah, let me catch up to that.
Absolutely. And Taylor, to like add to that, when you're writing down things that light you up or things that please you, it can be the tiniest things. So oftentimes when we're trying to find purpose, or, if we're recalculating, have I truly found my purpose? If you find yourself questioning it right now, people tend to go automatically to the big stuff. Like we want to find the big things in life that light us up, and then this must be our purpose. And that's not the way to start. The way to start is finding the tiniest thing. And then every day, keeping a journal and keeping track, like Taylor said. If that means writing down, I reorganized my kitchen cupboards, and that lit me up, as well as when I took the dog for a walk, and when I gave cookies to my neighbor. Like all three of those things are unrelated, but they're what lit you up. That's fine. Write down every little thing that really just gives you that little inner smirk and that smile. And then, after weeks and months of doing this every single day, then start to identify themes and patterns.
I actually have a story from a woman who did my hair, this hairstyle, 2 weeks ago. So I was sitting in her chair kind of talking about purpose in life, and she's a business owner too. She had her own salon, and just like asking her, what made you make that leap? And what did you do before this? I want to say she was doing something for the government and traveling. And she said at first she really loved it. But then it started to become very mundane for her. She realized this is not what I want to do. And she made a plan. She's like, I'm going to open my own hair salon. I'm going to braid hair. I'm going to, do weaves or whatever, because that's what I find myself attracted to. It's what I'm really good at. And I've wanted to do this my whole life. So she created a plan to do that. And then when she finally made that leap, the people that she worked with were like, well, it's going to be hard. Well, you're not going to be making as much money as you are now. What are you going to do when you don't make anything some months? She was able to overcome those obstacles and how people were trying to pull her down and kill her dreams, just because she knew what she really wanted to do in her heart. It's almost as if their commentary didn't impact her at all. She knew what she wanted to do and she set out to do it. So to me, that shows that she was paying attention to some themes in her life as well. When I'm at work, I'm not happy. When I'm doing hair, I can't wait to have that next person in my chair. It lit her up.
Mm-hmm. And I think, Taylor, you pointed out two big obstacles. One is once we find out our purpose, being too scared to do it or having people talk us out of it. When Taylor and I opened the business, we got the same thing from family members who really cared about us and loved us. But are you sure you want to do this? Do you girls know anything about business? Can you? And we didn't need to. And then it's still that holds true to this day. I mean, we managed to have it work because we had that passion, and because it truly, as cliche as this sounds, when you're doing something you love, it does not feel like work. There are certain tasks at times that I don't want to do. Same with you, Taylor. We will put things off on editing our newsletters, which is why sometimes you get 3 a week and sometimes you don't get any for 4 months. There are just some things that certain tasks we don't always love, but overall we love what we do with our life, right? And we can work 12, 14-hour days and it doesn't feel like work. And we can incorporate it into every part of our life and it feels good. Mm-hmm. So even once you find your purpose, of course, we had really trusted family members telling us that, and it was tough. Thank God Taylor and I truly had each other and were able to work through that. But then even finding your purpose to begin with is such a huge obstacle. Mm-hmm. Think about too, if you are growing up in an area or you're living in an area that's very impoverished, right? If you're a young person, even being able to think about what's possible for you is so much more difficult because there's so many more barriers ahead of you. Mm-hmm. Right. So when you add in all of these adverse or difficult life events, it makes it so much harder to even think or care about a purpose when we're just trying to focus on getting food on the table. But really finding your purpose will absolutely help your mental health.
I agree with that. Ladies who are watching today, drop in the comments for us. Share with us some key themes that you notice in your life, or whatever you're doing that makes you happy, that makes you light up, or what you think your purpose is. I'd like to shout out somebody, if that's okay, and highlight that because I think it's, this network is for, those purpose-driven women trying to figure out their life and what direction they want to go and fulfill their mission for God. So I am interested in what you guys are going to share with us today. But Nikki, you're absolutely right. You gotta just go for it. Once you figure out what it is that your purpose is in this life, do it. You can hear what people have to say, take it, with a little bit of caution, but seek out those mentors who are above you and are going to be in that place that you're trying to get to, or try to connect with people who have that similar passion as you. I mean, it's going to take you to the next level and help you uncover some of your other skills that are going to help you thrive in your purpose.
Absolutely. And purpose in life is so important. There's a reason Taylor and I are talking about this, and the reason we made it an entire show today. God puts a purpose within us, this desire within us, and then we choose to ignore it, which is just so shame. It's just a shame that we do that, right? Yep. I understand why. That's no judgment, but I mean, so yeah, it's just sad. But, by having a purpose in life, so we know statistically, people who can identify and work toward their purpose live longer. Like literally, it doesn't matter how old you are, you will live statistically longer than those who don't work towards their purpose. You have less symptoms of anxiety, depression, other mental health. What else are some benefits of having a purpose in life, Taylor?
Those are some of the really biggest ones. Heart disease is one. Again, less stress. To me, stress results in that high blood pressure, results in that heart disease and those other negative factors. But when you have your purpose in life, taking it back to what you said, Nikki, you're happy. It doesn't feel like you're working. You just feel like you belong. Once you find that, you're going to see so many good things come into your life, so many benefits. And God bless doing in your career, in your life. As long as you like pray with Him for guidance along that way, just so many benefits to that.
Yeah, and we know, so I have an entire dissertation on how purpose in life can help mitigate the negative effects of chronic poverty. So I know that is a mouthful, right? But we know that poverty and adverse life events and stressful life events, like you said, Taylor, can cause all of these things to happen to us physically and mentally. And so by having a purpose in life alone, not having medication, not having therapy, not having anything else combined with it, just having and working toward your purpose in life will help mitigate all of those negative life events, which is just astounding and amazing. And yet it's something we don't talk about in school, and it's not taught to us. And I almost feel like, and Taylor, tell me if you think the same thing, like when we talk about finding purpose or finding your passion, it's almost looked down upon and viewed as selfish.
Yeah.
Or I had someone in the community once say, well, that's like a hippie thing for millennials. And I was like, what? We're happy people when we live with a purpose. Like, how is that selfish? We become better people. We're serving others, which is what God intended us to do, to serve other people. What's been your impression, Taylor, when you've talked to people about finding purpose?
Well, I just don't have time to do that. I have so many other responsibilities, or I have children that I need to focus on for right now. I get a lot of excuses, but again, I think they're hiding behind that fear, and that people really, really want to be happy. They want to have that purpose. But once you have the opportunity to step out on that purpose, the fear blocks come up. Across the screen, we have Lisa, who responded to my request to share. So thank you so much. I have a goal, but I'm always getting sidetracked. I want to become a head trauma nurse of a trauma center. Don't really know where to start yet. It's hard sometimes to get to the point. Suggestions. I think this kind of leads us into the second half of where we were going, Nikki. Are you ready to go there? About how? So we want to help you guys figure out how to find your purpose. And with you, Lisa, you have this goal to become a head trauma nurse. So I'm going to assume that you're already working in the medical field, and you realize that trauma is your passion. You feel like it lights you up every time you get in there. I'm wondering if you have the ability to shadow fear. Okay.
That's me, fear. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm wondering if there's some of fear of failure or fear of putting yourself out there. Yeah, share with me a little bit. Oh, we're getting some responses there. I'm so excited.
Yeah. So sorry, I want to, and to Lisa, what I find is like when people get sidetracked on their goals, we can often find other things that we have to put as a priority as a response to that fear, right, Taylor? So, well, this isn't a great time for my husband or my family, or this isn't a great time for this, but as the saying goes, there's never a right time, right? There's like your ducks will never be lined up. So if you find yourself getting sidetracked, look into that fear and then understand where that fear developed, and how it's played a part in your life in other areas outside of this as well.
Absolutely. I think that's a big point. Educational wise, I'm not sure to become a head trauma nurse. Are there classes? Maybe that's somewhere you could start. Maybe there's some classes that you can jump into and take to beef up that resume piece for you. Or even, asking to sit down with a head trauma nurse or a doctor in that area, just asking for guidance and what you can do next. I think that might help you get started on that path for you and make you get to the point easier.
And I think it's important too, like what Taylor said, when you're talking to people, it's not just about what do I need to do, it's asking them, what were your fears?
Yeah.
Your obstacles. Did you have a family and have to take classes? What did those days and nights look like? I think being real about your fears and putting them out on the table and then realizing everyone else probably had those too, and figuring out how they overcame their fear will help get you on the right path and stop you from getting sidetracked as well.
You know, as weird as this sounds, you're not alone. Everyone watching this today, you're not alone. A lot of times we go through things and we think we're the only ones feeling this, we're the only ones thinking this, we're the only ones experiencing this. But when you start to share with other people, you'll realize that almost every person has fear of something. And almost every person can give you a story on how they were able to overcome that fear. So another quote that I really like, I don't know verbatim, Nikki, maybe you can help out with this, but if you have a goal, just speak up, share with people what your goal is, and then also your obstacle. And there's going to be somebody that's like, oh, I had that obstacle. I can connect you with Joe Schmo. They helped me get started.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, yes, just share. Talk to other people. Don't have that fear of being rejected or made fun of or not being accepted. Like Taylor said, everyone has gone through this, and there are people out there then who can help you overcome. And Lisa, before we move on, even just saying like, hey, talking to other people in that field, I have this goal, but I keep getting sidetracked. What did you do to finally get yourself on track too? And then just taking that all in and figuring out what works best for you.
Absolutely. Another comment we have is from Trinette. Mentoring and encouraging ladies that regardless of their struggle or trauma, there is hope. Definitely, we are here to serve others. I'm finally moving into my God-given purpose. Absolutely. Trinette has a beautiful event that she hosts once a month, or is trying to do once a month, Tears, Tea, and Testimony, where she kind of highlights the fact that everybody has been through some type of trauma. She gives them a platform, and we help work through it with psychoeducation, with prayer. It's beautiful. And Trinette, I know I'm speaking on your behalf here a little bit, but you shared that this is your purpose. Like, you really feel empowered with this. You know, God has put this on your heart to share your story, and now you're touching the lives of other women. Your event grows every time. It's like 10 additional people each time you do it. To me, that shows that, you know, you've prayed with God, asked him to give you the tools to take you on this journey to reach people, and that's what's happening. I think that's a good example of how to get started with your purpose. Prayer, seeking that mentorship, seeking that guidance, seeking that counsel, whether for you it is through God or whether it is through like the people in your life. That's important to do.
Absolutely. And then we had Krista Davis, thank you, who made a comment saying, still trying to find and understand my purpose. So in 3 comments, we had someone who knew their purpose but was not working towards it actively, someone who doesn't know their purpose, and then someone who's just now living and getting into their purpose. So there's always a wide spectrum. And Trinette, this, I only know you through Taylor and Sean, but I think you started really living deeply into that purpose later in life. This isn't something that you started out doing when you were young, and I'm guessing, and I could be wrong, that you wished possibly or would have hoped it could have happened possibly a little bit sooner. And so we just have people in this wide spectrum of finding purpose. And I think it's a really important topic that we need to keep talking about and to normalize and to share, and that it's not something that is selfish, and it's not something that is a pipe dream, that we really need to live into our skill set and the things that we can do to best serve other people.
Absolutely. Circling back to Krista, still trying to find and understand my purpose. There are so many people that are currently in that spot. And Nikki and I always, when we get people that come to us for coaching with that very same question, we sit them down and we do this lovely activity where we ask them to literally write out a list of things that give them energy and a list of things that drain them of energy. Some people have really long lists of one or the other, really long lists of both. But if you take the time to do that, you'll start to uncover those themes. There's always themes surrounding situations in life. And if you start to notice a theme of, let me give an example. I used this earlier, but a theme of baking. You're so excited when you can cook for your family. You're so excited when you have people come over. Maybe you need to start looking more in that direction of, that's your purpose, to serve others in that way. How can you become involved in doing that to give yourself that light up every single day? Do less of the things that drain you of energy. When you start to cut that out, I believe, you know, the stress and the anxiety will start going down. And when you start doing more of what lights you up, you'll start to see that the effects that Nikki talked about, the purpose in life, starting to take over for you.
Absolutely. And you guys keep hearing Taylor use this term called what lights you up. There's a reason we don't say write down what you like. And so we know, we won't go into the psychological details of this, but there are many things that we as people like, but that don't make us happy.
Right.
Because we are so bad at knowing what makes us happy. We're great at knowing what makes us angry, or what we don't like. So, you may like, and Taylor, I'm just going to feed off of your example. You may like cooking for your family, but, and having this big dinner, let's say this big Sunday dinner, you may really like that, but it doesn't necessarily make you happy, because then you have dishes to do after, and like maybe the people or the noise stress you out. So you like doing it because you like seeing your family. So what you really like doing is not that you like cooking and serving for your family. What's making you happy is that connection you have once a week with your family. Mm-hmm. Those are two very different things. You get your connection with your family, which is what makes you happy, through cooking the big meal and having to do all the dishes and the cleanup. So we say what lights you up, because it's that thing that actually sparks the fire, not the means through which you get that thing. So like Taylor said, if it's really what's making you happy is the cooking and the cleaning and the people, then yes, that is what lights you up. But if there's only a part of that you like and you hate everything else around it, or you tolerate everything else around it, really look and discover what's lighting you up, and be able to pick that apart. And that's why we tell you to do this over weeks and months, because what you like and what makes you happy, sometimes we confuse them and mesh them together.
Absolutely. And I see in the comments a theme of fear. Many of you are expressing fear, 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 fear. Very common, guys. Fear is something that stops a lot of us from moving to the next level in our lives. Kimberly says, remembering that fear is not of God, and God will encourage us and move beyond. Absolutely. I love to see that. It reminds me of Matthew chapter 10, verse 31. Fear not. Therefore, you are of more value than many sparrows. Whatever it is you want to do, whatever it is that you believe is your purpose, start working towards that, and God will bless that for you. Consult with him, consult with people around you, start doing that, move towards it. And the more you put yourself out there, the more desensitized you will become to fear. The more you will see, well, I can do this. Okay, Lisa, let's get it. You can do it. You got to put yourself out there.
Absolutely. I'm so sorry, Taylor. When you had said Matthew, it made me think, I thought you were going to say this verse. But I was thinking too, when you said, I was thinking Matthew 7:7, like ask and it will be received, like knock, the doors will be open to you. Like just speak it and it will be given to you. Say it out loud.
Actually, somebody gave that to me as a wedding gift.
Oh, really?
There, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk to God, talk to the people that you trust, talk to mentors, talk to professionals in the field who understand this, right? And then like Taylor said, you can talk to people you trust. That doesn't necessarily mean you need to take their advice, but just keeping it out there. And Taylor, you made a great point. Just take one step, one day at a time. I know certainly that's what we had to do when we started the business. We decided to start a business at an airport restaurant and ordered business cards before we got on the flight. As Taylor's calling her husband, asking / telling that she started a business, like, hey, is it okay? Because I already did it with Nikki. Like we've made this decision. He's like, what? Like, are you serious? Is this a joke? But that's all we knew. We didn't have an office. We didn't have a plan. We didn't have a business plan. We had no idea what it was going to look like. We just knew we were tired of being constrained by society, by insurance companies telling us how to do things. We knew we were really good at what we did, and we wanted to do it together. We still don't know completely what the future of BK looks like. We have an idea now, and we're more settled. We have no idea what the future looks like, but it's just taking that one step at a time and to live your purpose. And then, Taylor, I think you made a good point. When you start to take those little steps, those fears immediately subside. We have fears of what could happen. Mm-hmm. Once we start making things happen, those fears just melt away. Your confidence gets bigger. You have to overcome obstacles because they will come, but you have the ability to overcome them and problem solve and make decisions. You become a more competent human. Mm-hmm. So all of a sudden, those fears don't seem that scary anymore.
Right. I do have to share, Nikki, because you're saying fear or faith. That's why I got this shark tattoo here, guys. So many people ask me, oh, you like Shark Week? I didn't even know that. It's not about sharks, but the shark for me represents faith over fear. Just having the confidence in yourself to go out there and get whatever you want. every single day, guys, we make two choices: to go in fear or to go in faith.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them you can't see, right? Fear or faith. Why not choose faith? Why not choose things that are going to make you happy, that are going to allow you to go further in life? But every day people wake up and choose fear, and it holds them back, and we get stuck in this cycle of, if you want to throw in there the mental health illnesses, anxiety, depression, low self-worth, every time we choose fear. Why?
Absolutely.
Why do we do that to ourselves? We have to choose faith. I'm also seeing in the comments, people just kind of struggling with self-worth there. That's a big thing that people struggle with, is that self-worth. Can I do this? Am I worthy? Am I able to take on?
Mm-hmm.
You never know. If you live in that bubble of what if, and you never step outside of that, outside of your comfort zone, you're always going to struggle with self-worth in the what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
You got to cancel out the what ifs and just try. Just try.
And Taylor, you brought up a good point. Like, what if I can't do this? I can't add one more thing to my plate right now. I don't have the money. Whatever rationalization we make as to why we're not going to take the next step or to get help to take the next step. And the thing is, what's amazing is when we're pushed into a corner as people, and especially as women, we find a way. I'm sure there are women I know who didn't want any more kids and then got pregnant with triplets, and they did not think they could handle any more kids. They made it work, right? So as much as we think that we cannot handle anything else, we find a way when we have to. The problem is no one's making us find purpose. No one's making us live in our purpose. So very few of us are willing to step outside of that comfort zone because we're not being forced. And sadly, we tend to be very reactive people. We react to the things around us. We react to negative life events. And we react to things when we don't have any other choice, instead of being proactive and taking the first step.
Absolutely. It reminds me of a quote by Bishop T.D. Jakes. I'm sure many of you are familiar with him and his work. He says, if you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose. I couldn't be more proud to share that comment or that quote with you guys. It's a journey. It's not easy to figure out what your purpose is, but when you finally decide, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm not going to let fear hold me back. I'm going to walk out on faith. Start looking for those things that light you up. Nikki defined what that means. Start looking for things that make you happy, that bring that excitement, that joy into your life, where you wake up like, yes, I can't wait to do X, Y, and Z. Figure out what your passion is, and that will lead you into your purpose. Or if you don't want to go that route, have a conversation with God. He's your counsel. What is it, God, that you want me to do? What have you instilled in me that you want me to share with those around me? What can I do to give back? What can I do that's of you? I think that's a great starting place for purpose.
Absolutely. So we hope that, in finding this month of love, that you're looking inward really and finding better ways to love yourself, having healthier relationships, reevaluating your relationships currently, and then also looking at where you're at on your path to purpose. You might be in a career field or making choices that maybe no longer serve you. Reevaluate your purpose or continue on that path on finding your purpose. I can promise you that no one's going to force you to do it. And society has no problem having you wake up and live on autopilot and not think about this. So you're never, ever going to be forced in a corner to find purpose. So you're going to have to be brave and courageous and push those excuses and rationalizations aside and those fears aside and just take one baby step towards your purpose every single day, or towards finding your purpose.
Absolutely. So guys, today's discussion was beautiful. Thank you for every single lady that hopped in the comments and shared what they're going through. We'd like to continue that conversation if you want. Please follow us on our social media pages where we can talk to some of these themes. You can follow us on Instagram at BKLLC19. You can also find us on Facebook at Bryant and Katsaounis Life Coaching. Nikki, you want to take over the website and our newsletter?
Sure. Yeah, we do send out newsletters, again, sporadically. There's no consistency, rhyme, or reason, and we do not try to spam you or get you to buy anything. It is just newsletters generally based on what we're talking about today or each week in this theme. So if you haven't signed up already, please go to www.visiondrivencoaching.com. You can scroll down to the bottom of any page, just type in your email and subscribe.
Yes, guys. So now you have learned a little bit on how to love yourself, a little bit on how to find love in relationships, and now how to get started on finding love within your purpose in life. Next week, we want you guys all to come back, all to comment, all to share. We're going to show you what love looks like within the community. We kind of, we layered it just the way that we think is going to help you guys. Because once you love yourself, you can love in relationships, then you can find what lights you up, then you can share with the community. So come back next week, guys. And as always, thank you so much for tuning in to MINDTRIP, where we continue to explore the connections between mindsets and mental health.
Yes, thank you. Have a lovely day and stay warm for those who are living in Central PA right now.
Or Texas.
Yes, really.
Have a great day, guys.
Bye.
Bye.